And this 7th grade student said to me, this class is all about raising up a generation that will restore Christianity in America. Amen. And that's where I got the title of this message, because we need to re-Christianize the American culture that has been re-paganized. See, this nation inherited a Christian faith, and it was the very foundation of who we are as a people, freedom and liberty because of the gospel of Jesus Christ and the fear of the Lord. So this omnibus class, 7th grade, and then I also teach 8th grade, is really intriguing to me because the 7th graders, they compare ancient civilizations. We compare it by reading books such as Homer and Gilgamesh, and right now we're reading Herodotus' histories. And these books show you what a pagan culture looks like. And as I read these books, I mean, I'll be honest, I know how bad paganism is because of my pre-Christian days. But when you read these stories, you're thinking to yourself, you've got to be kidding me. Like a father who was also a king was trapped in a building and it was burning. And so what is the solution? His wife says, kill your 2 youngest sons and use them as a bridge to get out. And you think about Christian culture that says, you know, when the ship is sinking, women and children first. If you ever were to sacrifice their lives for your own, you would go down as a coward and contrary to the values of our culture. And so we're reading all these books and seeing right before our eyes what the fruit of pagan culture is. And it is shocking. But then we compare it by reading biblical culture such as Genesis, Exodus, 1 Kings, and 2 Kings, and reading books by C.S. Lewis that also, and in very intriguing ways, make those same stories modern. But then we get to 8th grade omnibus, and we study the medieval period, but really it's a class that starts with the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ and the Acts of the Apostles. In the first book we read, and there's Eusebius's Ecclesiastical History, and then we read other books such as Augustine's Confessions, and right now we're reading Bede's Ecclesiastical History of the English People. And what is intriguing to me about these books that we read in church history is that it's like reading the Acts of the Apostles. It's a continuation. You see the same spirit and the same power at work, not just through the church, but throughout history, transforming cultures. It reminds me a lot of the testimony in Thessalonica of the unbelievers in response to the ministry of Paul and Silas. Acts 17, 6-7 says this. But when they did not find Paul and Silas, the people were looking to lay hands on them. When they didn't find them, they dragged Jason and some of the brethren to the rulers of the city, crying out, "These who have turned the whole world upside down have come here also. Jason has harbored them, and these are all acting contrary to the decrees of Caesar, saying there's another king, Jesus." Their testimony about Paul and Silas, remember I said commitment to the apostolic calling? Their testimony is these men have turned the whole world upside down. And there's no truer way to describe it, because a world system that's governed by sin, that's governed by tyranny and oppression, that is contrary to love, that is selfish rather than selfless. When this apostolic power goes through the earth ministering from the church of Jesus Christ, the only way they can describe it is it's turning the whole world upside down. Isn't that exactly what it's doing? You see, these books that we're studying in that class show an incredible power that brought cultural transformation. We were reading St. Augustine. And St. Augustine was right at the verge of the collapse of the Roman Empire because the wineskin couldn't take the new wine. And Augustine was the epitome of everything a pagan culture had to offer. He was an orator, so he was of a high-class profession that was esteemed in the eyes of men. He had wealth, he had women.